Hey, what is up, guys? It's Shannon with Bare Metal Tech, and today we are approaching a very sensitive topic, some that might make some people uncomfortable, some that might make some manufacturers uncomfortable, some you yourself might not be comfortable discussing: security. And it is due to something that came up today. Please forgive my test bench area. This is actually set up from the PC Enthusiast podcast I was on, and I didn't even want to take the time to clean it up because I wanted to get this out here to you guys because this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I believe that people should be able to use PCs without worrying about their security. And this has been a hot button issue for several years, actually over a decade for those who are educated on the subject. More than that, far longer. As long as PCs have existed and connected devices have existed, security has been a problem. The issue now is more than ever, we have more and more new users getting into PCs. And this means some people don't know how to update the drivers and what have you. And that becomes a real problem. Now, sorry about the clickbait title. I want to say that up front. This was a kind of clickbaity title. I normally don't do that. I wanted to make sure we got eyes on this video. Obviously, ASUS is not directly pushing you malware, pushing you viruses or any of that stuff, or at least not intentionally. But that's where a lot of this comes from. When, like I said before, a lot of people maybe don't know how to pull down their drivers. So ASUS in their own way, just like a lot of manufacturers, created a software that will auto-update things for you, whether it be drivers, BIOS, what have you. I've always seen those as potentially critical attack vectors because all they look for is like signatures. They look for, hey, is this signed by ASUS, Gigabyte, whatever? And if it does, it pushes it to your system and off to the races. Your system now can potentially be compromised. And this has come up today. I believe it's an article by TechCrunch. I read it a few others just to make sure, I didn't have one person saying something that maybe wasn't balancing out. And it looks like my worst fears came true. I actually brought this up in my original Maximus 11 Extreme, this board right here. And by the way, I'm not against ASUS. My laptop's an ASUS. This is an ASUS. I actually really like ASUS products. Unfortunately, in this case, they're the one in the spotlight, and this is going to be a very tough subject for them. Their auto-update software has been exploited. Someone figured out, whoever it may be, how to exploit the signature portion so that they could push an update through ASUS's update software, and it opens up a backdoor into a system. Now, while supposedly there's a target of like 800 systems they were trying to go after, they wound up actually, obviously, the exploit pushed to a lot of people. This comes to the basis of the topic that I'm interested in. I have a long history in security and how to make sure my data, my information, access to my systems, access to my network is all secure. The only way you can truly learn that is to break it yourself. So I got involved in creating my own nefarious exploits for my own systems to figure out exactly what people might attack. And that's pretty much the way I've taught myself, because I teach myself a lot of things like that, what to look for. And so when I saw something from ASUS called the Armory Crate, this goes through Windows ACPI. So as soon as you install Windows 10, you get this little pop-up, hey, do you want to install ASUS Armory Crate? It keeps you up to date and all this happy good stuff. And that's a great altruistic method from ASUS to help people who maybe don't know how to go out and search their own drivers, don't have another PC to get them, whatever it may be. I remember days when you would install Windows and you had to have thumb drive, even CD or floppy disk that had like the network driver, just so you could get online, or even pre-online. You had to have a disk for the motherboard or your system would be missing critical drivers and there was nowhere to get it because online didn't exist. It was all BBS for the most part. I mean, but I'm old. But now we're talking about today. So now we have magic one-click update software. It updates everything. Everything's happy, right? Your system's running good. Unfortunately, that only works when it works well. But when a situation like this comes up where they exploit a piece of software and a piece comes in that has malware attached to it and they're able to fake the signature or what have you, that is the crux of the situation. Now, who knows what potential damage to your files there may be, what files may be lost, crypto lockers could be put in there. There's a lot of things that can happen. And this is where I want to say, you know what? For those of you who maybe don't know how to install your own drivers. Hop on a PC community. Ask a simple question like, hey, how do I find what driver my motherboard takes? And if people start saying like, oh, GG noob, and just blow you out, like, you're a noob, get out of here, it's probably not somewhere you want to be part of. There's a lot of PC enthusiast groups on Facebook, different forums, what have you, where there's very helpful people. So you kind of have to weed through that stuff. But I encourage you, even find like my Facebook, or even in the comments of this video, if you have a question, you're not sure what drivers to get, ask someone who's knowledgeable about it. Most of us are really good people and will be happy to help you. But these auto update softwares are a disaster. They are such a critical vulnerability because of the fact that I know a lot of people that work at ASUS, Gigabyte, and everything. I've worked on that side before, not necessarily at ASUS, but I've worked on the hardware side. And there's product managers, and they have tens of products to manage, specs, you name it, maybe even hundreds of products to manage, depending on the loading from that specific company. So the software side, normally it's, okay, here's a piece, drop it on the server, and then it shows up on the web page for people like you and I to download, whether it be BIOS update or what have you. They don't necessarily, at least as far as I know, or at least when I was involved, they do not go through every day or every hour and comb through it and check modify dates, things like that. And if someone, let's say, gains FTP access to that root folder where the files are stored, it's very easy to swap files out with something nefarious, and that could be very dangerous. Now, I am trying to keep this to a short video, but this is very important, and I feel like it really does need to be confronted, because the minute you open up your system and you give a program access to do what it wants and update core system files, update drivers, you're giving it basically some of the highest level administrative privileges to do things within your system. And that you're just asking for it to happen. And unfortunately with UAC, how intrusive it can be, user account control with Windows, if it pops up, says, hey, do you want this to run? Usually people are just clicking, hot clicking, yes, just to get through it. This is where the crux of the problem. So it's not necessarily all ASUS's fault. It's obviously the person who created the exploit's fault, but it's also our own fault. You, me, the users who just yes through everything instead of actually reading and looking at what effects it's going to take, what is involved, because usually we've got things to do, whether it's arguing with someone on a forum about whatever, arguing with someone on Facebook, which that's a whole nother security issue. We can get to it another time, but I have a Facebook, so obviously I'm a willing participant in that one. But basically this has to do right now, unfortunately, ASUS is going to be the one that is under fire for this one, but just keep in mind, folks, that if you have an ASUS laptop, if you have an ASUS motherboard, any of that stuff, remove the ASUS Auto Update software. If you have one, there's a chance that stuff's pushed to you. But I don't necessarily even know what update it was that did it. That's something I will link the article that I read down in the description so you guys can read about it. But please take the time. I know it seems like, there's a lot of work in it, but it's really not. Once you know your hardware, you'll know what drivers to go get. Go get it from the source. Don't get it from the motherboard vendor, because once again, the care taken as far as putting those drivers in is a lot, but in my opinion, it's not always enough to filter out if something could be swapped. It may go unnoticed, being that, a motherboard manufacturer makes hundreds of motherboards sometimes, different models. I know some of them make 30, 40, 50 just of Z390. So I always recommend, once you know what chipset it is, if it's Intel, go to Intel, see if you can pick up like the Wi-Fi driver, whatever it may be. If it's Realtek, go pick up the Realtek audio driver, Core 3 audio. You can get that stuff like normally from Creative. There's a few specific drivers you might have to get from motherboard manufacturers, but the basic chipset stuff, get it directly from the source. It's going to be much more finite control directly from Intel or what have you than to have like the driver where, ASUS pulls it in, packages it with like their ASUS auto installer, what have you, in their system. So I know I've said a lot of things. I know I've talked about a lot of stuff. Basically, this has to do with an attack vector with the ASUS Auto Updater. It also has to do with especially recent implementations. Recent motherboards have the Armory crate, which I'm sure some of you have noticed. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you clicked OK. Maybe you clicked cancel and didn't install it. Good for you. If you did happen to install the ASUS Updater, I'm not even sure at this point. I'm sure that it's been discovered, which means it probably will be detectable very soon to hopefully eliminate this exploit. Or if you're one of those people that runs their system light anyway, maybe just nuke and clear your OS just to be safe, whatever it may be. I know that sounds a little extreme, sounds a little tinfoil hat, but I truly believe that data security, especially today, you're responsible for making sure your data is safe. And the more you expose it to outside sources, I understand, outside causes are causing this to happen, but the last line of defense is you. And ASUS's Armory Crate, it's a very noble idea. I thought it was really cool when I installed Windows 10. It straight had a driver right out of the box. It was like, hey, here's your network driver. Also, do you want to install this package? And I instantly, actually, I remember I had a conversation while we were at PDXline. I brought this up, and I brought this up with a few very knowledgeable people like Adam Kevlar Condom and Auxiliary from Twitter. I'll link them down so you can feel free to follow those guys and say hello to them. I told them, I'm like, I feel like this is going to be a very dangerous attack vector in the future because this gives ACPI, basically it loads through ACPI. And for people that don't know, most people are going to look at it and think, that's really cool. It keeps my system up to date, update it. That's a scary thing. Now, like I said, ASUS is not intentionally going out there and pushing malware to your system. And I'm sure ASUS is very aware of this situation as of now. But the only way to truly be safe is to remove that autonomous control over like pushing those updates to your system. And obviously you have certain updates you can't avoid. Like Windows itself, it pushes updates. You can't avoid them. I think you can only delay them for like 60 days, which is normally what I'll do. I'll actually delay them in batches and I'll actually dig into some of them. You don't have to do that much effort. I do, because sometimes those updates do cause problems. So I keep an eye on the Windows forums and things like that to make sure they're not going to break something critical that I need for my day-to-day system, whether it be to write reviews, edit the videos like you're seeing right now. I tend to be very careful about what I update in my system because, well, let's face it, Windows itself will break itself all the time. But even worse than this is all of these auto install or auto update softwares, which they just look for that driver signature or that software signature. If it's there, which can be faked, as is now proven, it just pulls in that package, installs it. And you're giving it access. When you say yes to UAC, you're giving it basically high-level admin access to install and do whatever changes it deems necessary. Now, I know I've kind of said a lot of things and I've covered a lot, and things like this tend to make me ramble because a lot of ideas just come into my head with this stuff. But the biggest thing is, guys, learn about your PCs. If you don't know what hardware you have, what chipsets, what have you, talk to people. Talk to people like me. Talk to people who are knowledgeable about this stuff, and they can help point you in the right direction. Maybe bookmark those pages once you know where to go to get the drivers. Make a folder in your bookmarks. It's just drivers, so you can go there once a month and check for updates. That we can go check NVIDIA, Realtek, Intel, whatever you may have. But it is way safer for you than allowing a piece of software to automatically push updates it thinks it needs for drivers and all that stuff, because you're asking for a lot of potential problems, especially now that an exploit like this has come around, which I wrote in my review for this board right here. I was very fearful this is going to happen. I saw it on the horizon and it wound up happening. And I don't want to blame ASUS for this because everyone does it. They just happen to be the one that got hit by it. And it sucks for them because they're going to probably catch a lot of flack for this, when in reality, some jackass out there decided to make this software or decides to exploit it for their own nefarious purposes. And this is something that is going to affect a lot of people, unfortunately. How much it affects them remains to be seen. Hopefully, for the most part, the people will only try to access the systems that they were after, and those can be caught and the people can be apprehended, whatever happens with that. But this is a very important topic because you potentially can be affected by this. And more important to me than anything, obviously, as if you've watched my channel at all, is performance, being able to make badass systems, have fun, have a great growing PC community. And when issues like this crop up, all it does is divide into groups of fanboys for one brand or another, and basically raises the pitchforks and makes people pissed off at every other company unnecessarily. And security is important, guys. I mean, this is all we have left. You're literally, you're exposing the inside of, I'm exposing the inside of like my studio, my house here, to you guys online. Just like, you're taking selfies in your bathroom, taking, pictures with your family. You're exposing yourself online enough as it is. Try to secure the last little bit you have left, which is your private data. Take the responsible moves. Learn from people like myself, if you're not aware of it, or other people which are very knowledgeable who can probably help you better secure your data and make things overall harder for the people that are trying to cause these kinds of issues from accessing your system. Don't hand them the keys. Don't make it that easy. If they want your stuff, they probably can get it, but don't just hand it to them. If you guys like this kind of video, talking about these real world PC topics, please let me know in the descriptions, comments, what have you. Let me know so that I know that you guys want to see this stuff. This is a huge PSA. Even if you didn't like this video, that's okay. I'm still, when something like this happens, I'm going to make these kind of videos, because for those of you, even if I help one of you to get off of an auto update software like that and better equip yourself to download your own drivers, I've succeeded with this video. I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to help educate you, normally with hardware reviews, talking about, what parts are good, why, what you'd like about it, maybe what you should get or why you shouldn't get it. But this is something more. This is what decisions you should make. I know normally people tell you, don't let people tell you how to think. Well, this is one of those situations where listen to someone who knows. If it's not me, go to whatever your favorite tech tuber is, whatever your favorite media outlet is. Go read about this kind of attack vector, about this kind of vulnerability, so that you better understand exactly what's happening and how you can secure yourself. And the only way to truly secure yourself from an attack like this is to remove that middleman. Remove the auto update software, whether it's ASUS auto update, like the AI suite auto update stuff, whether it's Gigabyte's auto update, MSI's, doesn't matter which one. If it's auto pulling stuff and putting it in Windows, it can be exploited. ASUS has been exploited now. I'm sure it's not long till the next dominoes fall and the other ones are exploited. I'm not saying they will, but it's a huge risk. And I guess the question really comes to, are you willing to take that risk? And hey guys, I'm not trying to make this video doom and gloom. I understand, this is kind of a really crappy topic to talk about. And normally I would not want to talk about topics that are, detrimental or, let's say, negative facing. But this is a very important one to me. Should be a very important one to all of you. And I truly hope this helps at least one of you, maybe many of you. Like I said, if you don't know what software you need, you don't know what drivers you need, ask. Ask in the comments, ask on my Bare Metal Tech Facebook page. I'm more than happy to help you however I can. I'm not guaranteeing if 100 of you ask, I'm going to be able to help every one of you, but I will truly try. And there's also lots of communities, forums out there, even Facebook computer groups, which can be either wildly toxic or very good, depending. If you can find some good people to help, it will be beneficial to you to learn what's in your system so that you can make better educated decisions on what you're installing onto it. Thank you for watching, guys. Like I said, sorry for the clickbait title. I wanted to make sure as many people click this as possible. I hope my friends will share this out. I hope you guys will share it out so that someone you know who maybe has an ASUS system, an ASUS laptop, ASUS motherboard, any of that stuff where you might be getting pushed this auto update software, we can hopefully squash this. And it's not, like I said, it's nothing against ASUS. It's just if it can be exploited. They make some great stuff. But unfortunately, the software implementation, when it comes to auto installing things for you, I don't care who makes it. I don't trust it. And yeah, maybe I'm a tinfoil hat guy. That's fine. You can call it what you want. But it's been exploited. Proof is in the pudding, guys. So, like I said, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the, let me know just in general. You know what? What do you want to see? Like I always say, let me know what you want to see so I can make more cool videos for you guys. Even if you didn't like this video, that's fine. I'm still going to make videos if massive exploits happen that I feel could be easily avoided by the actions you take. I will make these videos as PSAs for people that want to see them. If you don't want to see them, that's fine. Click out of it. Dislike it, that's fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings, but let me know if you don't dislike it and let me know why. If I said something incorrect or something you didn't like, let me know so I better understand how I can make cool videos for you guys. I really hope this is informative for most, if not all of you. I hope some of you learn and take the time to go figure out what's in your system so you can better equip it without having this kind of update software if you have it now, that would be a huge victory for me. And if that did happen, let me know in the comments. Hey, let me know, hey, I uninstalled it. I figured out I have this chipset, that chipset, as media, what have you, which Microsoft installs anyway, but I got rid of the auto update software. And now I feel better about my security in my system. That would be an awesome thing for me to read from you guys. And I would truly appreciate that kind of feedback so I know that these kind of videos are actually making a difference. I really hope you guys have a great day, and I'll be making some more hardware review videos coming up soon. I know it's been a little while, but I've had some written reviews, some content I had to get through, which I'm putting up actually right now at Bjorn 3D. But you guys have a good one, and I'll be catching you soon. Thanks for joining. If you like what you see here and you want to get the newest content from Bare Metal Tech right away, be sure to subscribe, tick the bell, go to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, give those a like, join the community so that you will see not only the newest content going up, but also some behind the scenes as we release pictures of new stuff or even some behind the scenes small video clips showing some of the bloopers, fun stuff we do here, along with the newest stuff we are playing with that'll be coming out in videos soon.